Hi, I'm Chad with Moveable Guitar. This lesson is from our series CAGED Theory. In this lesson, I'm going to explain how you can use the CAGED system to find major triads. First off, if you like all the diagrams for this series, including the diagrams for this lesson, you can download our free e-guide, CAGED Theory. But I am working on it as I'm filming this lesson, so it might not be available as you're watching this lesson. If it is available, a link will pop up on the screen that'll allow you to download it. And like I said, it's free, so there's no reason not to download it when it is available. This is part 5 from our series, CAGED Theory. If you'd like to go back and start at the beginning, you can click the link on the screen. So now we're going to take the CAGED system to another level, and that's look at how to find triads within these CAGED chords. And if you don't understand what triads are or how to build them, I would recommend going back and watching our Music Theory for Guitar series, the first and second section at least, and you'll learn everything you need to learn about triads. And that's just a free series on YouTube, so you can go watch that first if you like. Because now, as we're diving deeper into the CAGED system, I'm just going to assume that you know some of that music theory, because it would take too long to explain, and I've already explained it in that series. So if you're watching this, you should know that a major triad is built root, major third, perfect fifth. So anywhere that you find roots, major thirds, perfect fifths on the fretboard and play them, you have a major triad. And the triads we're going to talk about in this lesson are close position, meaning that all the intervals are as close together as possible, and it'll go in order. So root, third, fifth, or third, fifth, root, third. And again, if you've watched our Music Theory for Guitar series, you already know all about that. So just having the knowledge of how to build triads, the formula for how to build them, doesn't really help you that much for memorizing where they are on the fretboard. It can seem kind of daunting just to find all the different close position triads up and down the fretboard. And I'm going to show you how you can actually use the CAGED shapes to find most of these triads. It's not going to find all of them in the lower register with the lowest note being on the 6th string, but those aren't as important anyway, because in most situations you want to play the higher ones because the lower ones will be pretty muddy, especially if you're playing with other musicians. So we're just going to start and go through every shape. So we'll go from the C shape to A shape, G shape, and so on. And I'm going to show you what triads lie within each of these shapes. So we're starting with the C shape. You have a major triad living right here, which hopefully you can see is a root position major triad. You have another one living right here, which hopefully you can see is a first inversion because the third is the lowest note. And then you have one more living right here, which hopefully you can see is a second inversion. So within this one C shape, you have 3 triads. You have one right here, one right here, and one right here. So now, just memorizing the C shape bar chord, you have 3 triads that you automatically can find quickly anywhere on the fretboard. You just have to know the notes on your fretboard to know what your roots are. The next one is the A shape. So if we look at the A shape bar chord, we have a triad right here, which hopefully you can see is second inversion because the 5th is the lowest note. And we have one right here, which hopefully you can see is root position. So within this A shape, you have a major triad right here, and you have a major triad right here. Now to the G shape bar chord, we have one right here, hopefully you can see, which is root position. One right here, which is first inversion. And one right here, which is second inversion. So now with the G shape bar chord, you have one right here, and one right here. Now we're on to the E shape bar chord, and you have one starting right here, which hopefully you can see is second inversion. One right here, which is root position. And one right here, which is first inversion. So within this E shape, you have one right here, and right here. Now we're on to the last shape, which is the D shape, and in the D shape you only have one, and it's pretty easy to see. It's right here, and that's second inversion. So if we were to do this up and down the fretboard, and these are all C major, so all these intervals are relating to C major, and these are all the intervals of the C major triad. Here's your C shape in open position. You have a triad right here, and right here. If you move up the fretboard, here's the A shape. You have a triad right here and right here. If you move up the fretboard, you have the G shape right here. And in the G shape, you have a triad right here, and right here, if you're playing the version that has the third in it instead of the fifth. Move up again, we have the E shape. You have a triad right here, and right here. And then move up again, you have the D shape, which is right here, and there's just one triad in it, which is right here. And some of these overlap, as you can see. Here's the D shape, and here's the C shape. This triad right here is in both of those shapes. Or another example is the G shape and the A shape. This triad right here is in both of those shapes. So there's some overlap between the triads. So hopefully this helps you see that if you visualize the CAGED chords, you can visualize triads within those CAGED chords. And if you don't really know how to use triads, what the point of understanding the triads within these shapes are, don't worry, we're going to get to that and I'm going to give you some practical uses. But I just want to start off here showing how you can actually find triads within these shapes. And then when you're looking for triads, they're a lot easier to see if you visualize the actual shapes of the CAGED chords first, instead of just looking for random triads, looking for randoms, roots, threes, and fives up the fretboard, or just having to memorize them without anything to base them on, besides the actual shapes of the triads. So that's how you can use the CAGED system to find major triads up and down the fretboard. Go ahead and move on to the next lesson where I'm going to show you how to do the same thing with minor triads. And be sure to download the e-guide, all the diagrams are in there, and be sure to subscribe because we had at least one new lesson every day.